Okay, so if you had to design an affordable iPhone that had the absolute minimum essential features, what would you choose? What are the defining traits that make the iPhone great for your life? Is it Dynamic Island, where you get quick access to app controls and information? Or is it an always-on display that lets you see your phone at a glance? What about MagSafe and having access to a huge range of fun accessories? Or the ultra-wide camera to get unique dynamic pictures? Think hard about this, because the iPhone 16e, which is the phone that I've switched to from my 16 Pro Max for the last 2 weeks, is Apple's new definition of what an affordable iPhone should look and feel like. And FYI, everything I mentioned earlier, like Dynamic Island and so forth, are not part of the 16e. Apple doesn't think those features matter enough to their budget-conscious buyers. And honestly, while this is priced higher than I would have liked at $599, I think they are onto something. The 16e, from my experience, delivers exactly on what matters most, and I genuinely think most people will be very content with what this iPhone can do for their lives. To find out exactly what I've discovered, we'll be answering 4 questions. What's it like to use the 16e daily? Do I miss any features Apple removed? Is this phone bad value? And ultimately, who should buy this phone? In terms of what it's like living with the 16e, the phrase I keep coming back to is comfortably simple. I have the matte black 16e, and I can't be the only one who thinks that this iPhone's minimal look is something to admire. It's so refreshing to see something so simple from Apple. The 16e is also unbelievably light, which may be more apparent to me because I'm someone that is just accustomed to my larger 16 Pro Max. So switching to this for the last few weeks has been a really positive change. It's also very easy to navigate this phone with one hand if you have average size hands like mine, and tossing this into my pocket is effortless because of how slim the overall package is. When we move beyond the design though, this iPhone has integrated quite easily into my life, sometimes making me question how much do people really need the luxuries of a 16 or a 16 Pro. For example, the 16e comes with a very identical A18 chip that is found on the regular iPhone 16, so performance on here isn't an issue. It can run any app I need it to smoothly, and playing games on here is a great time for anyone that's into that. A18 also allows for Apple Intelligence to be possible on this iPhone, so for example, you get ChatGPT integration when you ask Siri a complex question, you can remove people and objects in the background from your photos, and if you make use of the included action button, which you can assign to open visual intelligence, which allows you to quickly take a photo of the world around you, and then you can ask the AI questions and inquiries about the subject in that image. To be completely honest, I'm not a heavy user of Apple Intelligence, and I feel it's one of those things that are really cool to have on your phone, but ultimately its usefulness is up to the individual. I do think it's safe to say that for the most part, it will be an afterthought for people's experience with the 16e based on what Apple Intelligence can do today. Like, I wouldn't buy this phone for the feature set that Apple Intelligence offers right now. However, if I am someone who owns an older iPhone, such as a XR for example, or an iPhone 11, I would buy this phone because it comes with a higher starting storage of 128 gigs instead of 64. Like, that's a huge difference for a lot of people. I'm able to install apps at my leisure and have no worries about running out of space. I also would buy this phone because of the incredible battery life. It easily lasts the whole day from my experience, and you will see a substantial change in how long your phone lasts. A part of that is due to Apple adding their own custom C1 modem, I think that's what it's called, which is how your phone gets a cellular connection. Apple says it's more battery efficient than the third-party modem that they use in all previous iPhones, which, by the way, I've experienced like 0 changes in how data and phone calls have worked on here, so that's actually a pretty good thing that Apple has made their own cellular modem, and it seems to be working just fine. Like, there is 0 issues. And then there's all the little things that make the 16e such an upgrade for people who have held out all of these years. You get a beautiful new OLED display that looks fantastic. It's also extremely durable and comes with a ceramic shield, so in theory, it should be more battle tested to survive falls from everyday use. And you get USB-C, which is universally a better way to charge your devices. But I think the one that takes the cake is the cameras, or better put, the single camera on the back. Not to get all like philosophical on people watching, but there was something fun and unique about only having one camera lens that is capable of 1x and 2x to take photos. Like, It removed a lot of the friction of what lens to use because the Pro iPhones come with 3, and I felt for me, just having one lens option was a really enjoyable and simple experience. I think a lot of people are just going to be so happy with how good these photos are. Like, they come out in 48 megapixels, which is really good. And of course, you'll get incredible 4K video quality on here that is just unmatched from any other phone on the market, in my opinion. Oh, and while we're talking about daily use, I've also been testing out the soundcore AeroClip earbuds, which were sent over by my friends over at Soundcore, the official partner of today's video. And honestly, they've really surprised me. I was writing this review with spa music playing in the background, and I completely forgot that I was even wearing these. They're open ear, super lightweight, and ridiculously comfortable even after hours of use. What's wild is how good they sound for this form factor. You still get clear audio, a hint of bass thanks to Soundcore's virtual bass tech, and barely any sound leakage. I've used them for walks, workouts, editing, and even just lounging around, and they've held up great across all of it. And no matter what I'm doing, they never fall out. The fit is super secure even when I'm moving around a lot. Plus, they are IPX4 rated, so they can handle sweat and light rain without any issues. Battery life is also solid, 8 hours on a single charge, plus 24 more with the case, and a quick 10-minute charge gives you about 3 hours of listening time. So if you're curious to try something new for your audio setup, check out my full review linked down below, and there's also a link down there if you want to go ahead and grab a pair for yourself today. With all that being said though, the 16E isn't without its compromises. It's cheaper because Apple had to remove things. So from my experience, did I miss any of the features that Apple got rid of? The answer is yes and no. For starters, the 16 and 16 Pro come with a dynamic island, and I really enjoy that feature. Being able to quickly control apps in the background from a tiny animation above is really cool, but I could live without it, and ultimately, I didn't miss it that much from my 16E experience. What about an always-on display that is on the Pro phones? It's cool to see your wallpaper and the time at a glance, but I didn't really miss that either. What about an ultra-wide lens? I do love that lens for the perspective that it can give on landscapes and the world around you, but at least for me, the vast majority of my photos are shot in 1x or greater, so I didn't miss that lens as much as I thought I would. What I do miss, and I think Apple may have fumbled a little bit on here, is MagSafe. I'm just a little perplexed on why this wasn't included on the 16E, because I feel that MagSafe is a defining trait of what makes an iPhone in 2025. If the 16E is supposed to be the core minimum iPhone experience, I think MagSafe needs to be part of that conversation. You lose native support on all kinds of awesome accessories from Apple and third parties that deeply enhance how you use your iPhone. Of course, you can buy a third-party MagSafe case, which I did right away anyways, but even then it's a little weird to me that Apple themselves don't offer a MagSafe case for 16E owners. I don't agree with the decision here. However, I will play devil's advocate. You could argue that people who are buying this have never had MagSafe before, so you don't really miss what you don't know. And then there's the little things too, such as the phone not having the ability to precisely find my AirTags that I put on my wallet and keys because it lacks the ultra wideband chip required to do that. That is almost surprisingly almost a deal breaker for me. I lose my stuff all the time, and being able to precisely locate things is a lifesaver. So just to think that the 16E can't do that, and it can only rely on the general location of it and playing the sound of the AirTag itself, it's a little weird for me. I didn't enjoy that at all in my experience. Okay, so with everything that we've discussed so far, is the iPhone 16E bad value? It depends on the perspective that you take. It's good value in the sense that Apple made a more affordable iPhone 16, so anyone who couldn't afford the regular 16 now has a pretty solid alternative with the 16E. But I've also heard the argument that Apple has raised the base price of getting into their ecosystem, as the older SE iPhone started at just $429, so it's about a $200 increase. And when you compare the 16E to what you can get on Android in 2025, it can be a tough sell for people who are open to trying other devices that don't have an Apple logo. For me personally, I tend to side with the idea that the 16E is actually decent value, which is Sort of a hot take on the internet if you are keeping up with the negative sentiment around this device. I honestly feel like it's almost perfect for who this is intended for, which leads us to our next question: who should buy the iPhone 16e? It's for anyone with an older iPhone or someone coming from Android that wants something new from Apple, but doesn't want to break the bank. They need the bare essentials, which the 16e delivers. A beautiful design, great battery life, lots of internal base storage, a really fast phone, and a great camera. And then there's the bells and whistles of the 16e, with the potential of Apple Intelligence becoming even more useful over the years. It is a really interesting value add as well from like a future-proofing perspective, since Apple guarantees years of software updates with the 16e. However, as I've mentioned earlier in this video, I do admit I think this phone is just a little bit too pricey. Like, I wish Apple could get this down to $499, but when you think about it, no one really pays full price for phones these days anyways. Like with carrier deals and trade-in deals, most new buyers of this will get a solid price for the phone that they will be extremely happy with, regardless of if it was at $499 or $599. Anyways, this is a really solid phone. Like, I've just been very happy with my experience over the last couple of weeks, but I am, if I'm gonna admit, very happy to go back to my 16 Pro Max. That is where I belong. I am not a 16e user at all. The Pro Max is for me. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Talk to all of you guys in the next one. Peace.